Last time I talked about growing your clubs, and the point I noticed, Shannon knows, was here. The point is that if you grow your evaluations, you grow your clubs, because the evaluation completes the speech. Does that make sense? You go on through your speech and you get the evaluation, you finally get that information you want, information you need. Okay, so if you have good evaluations, that'll pull people in. So you want to grow your club, grow your evaluations. G-R-O-W. Today, I'm going to talk about G in grow. And if you don't have the G, you'll find that your evaluation just doesn't quite connect with the audience. Maybe you've experienced before. You give an evaluation, it just doesn't quite connect. People don't pay attention. They aren't involved. Guests come along, they're looking around. They leave and they're thinking, well, you know, it was an okay meeting, but I didn't get a chance to speak, so I didn't learn anything. They don't get anything out of the evaluation. They don't really improve. They don't really grow because the G is missing. That's the thing. And the problem comes is that what I call the Toastmasters trap. Toastmasters trap. There's a trap in Toastmasters right from the very beginning. And so many people fall into this trap, trip over it, step in it, get caught in it, and they never get out. And because of that, they never connect, they never make that connection, they never will make that connection. And that goes back to the basics of what G is all about. If you do make that connection, right at the very beginning of your evaluation, you understand what G is, you discover that strong connection, you make that strong connection. You have an evaluation that somehow steps out of the typical Toastmasters evaluation and becomes something else, becomes something better. Not only does it make you a better evaluator, it makes you a better speaker. Isn't that why you came to Toastmasters in the first place? To become a better speaker. Understanding that G, making the G words, makes you a better speaker. It's so simple, it's so powerful, and you avoid the Toastmasters trap altogether. And G stands for get their attention. Get their attention. Now, you might be thinking, Tim, I know what get their attention means. I know how to do this in evaluation. I've read the books. I'm not an idiot here. This is the way Toastmasters works, and it makes sense to me. You talk only to the person who's speaking. So that's evaluation's only for the speaker. I'm talking only to Cynthia. I'm evaluating you. Let's say I'm the evaluator. You're the speaker. I'm talking only to Cynthia. Everything I say is directed to Cynthia. Is that right? Pretty much that's the way the Toastmasters get their attention. It's all about Cynthia. So it's as if I said Cynthia at the beginning of everything I said. Does that make sense? Same sort of effect. So if you're given an evaluation in Toastmasters, it works kind of like this. Cynthia, great speech you did up there. I love the way you did that organization. Cynthia, it's wonderful because you had a beginning, middle, and conclusion all the way through. Cynthia, one thing that really stuck out to me was the way you used vocal variety. Cynthia, you use vocal variety so well. Cynthia, let me tell you, you're a really good speaker. I've seen you get even better. Cynthia, you're doing a great job. Have you ever gone through one of these evaluations, these Toastmasters evaluations, and suddenly thought, I'm not Cynthia. This has nothing to do with me, and just shut down and ignored everything? Have you ever seen a guest who comes to Toastmasters and sees this evaluation going on and hears them talking not to them and shuts down and ignores everything? So they don't get as much out of the program? That's the importance of get their attention. Now, in Toastmasters, it's very simple. You talk to the speaker and only the speaker. I want to suggest something different a little bit. Before I get to that, think of another situation. Just imagine this. You're at a party. Cynthia and I are at a party. It's a swinging party. There's people everywhere. Imagine that. People everywhere, all of this party. Great party, all sorts of talks going on. Cynthia and I are in a deep conversation. One-on-one, very personal. I'm telling Cynthia stuff and you can wrap focused attention on me all the way through. Cynthia's having a problem imagining that, but the rest of you can imagine that, right? We're in this great conversation back and forth, and you are there right beside us, standing there looking at me. Imagine that. Picture yourself. Cynthia and I are at this party having a nice conversation, a lot of people all around, stuff going on, and you're just looking at me. How do you feel? Awkward? You feel like you're part of this conversation? You feel like you're involved?
No.
Have you ever been in this situation where somebody's going in there and got this deep conversation and somebody starts just standing there? You ever notice the person who's speaking usually has one of these looks? So if I'm really talking to Cynthia at this party and you're just standing there watching me, you're awkward. You're really not supposed to be there and you know it. Because the whole time, this is all for Cynthia, not for you. Okay, put that aside. Bring you back into Toastmasters world. We're in the Toastmasters world. Cynthia and I are having a conversation. It's only about you. It's all about you. Your dream come true. It's everything about you, Cynthia. It's all you, girl. These other people, why are you here? Why are you here? This is a conversation between Cynthia and me. We got something going on here. And in fact, Cynthia and I decided to go out, slip out to the bar, have a few cold ones back and forth, exchange phone numbers. I'm a good day. Don't worry about that. I'm a good day. Have a nice deep chat. Maybe meet up later. I don't need you. And you don't need me. That's a typical Toastmasters evaluation. Toastmasters become very good at ignoring the audience. And in fact, you practice ignoring the audience. You start out with the icebreaker, talking about yourself and only about yourself. And you never stop. You get this pattern going on. And that's the Toastmasters trap. Focusing only on yourself, thinking that there is no thing called audience. And as a result, you become very good at ignoring the audience, very good at disconnecting. And when you give that evaluation, you got one person you're focused on, you're looking at other people, but it's really for that one person. Is it any wonder the audience tunes out? Is it any wonder the audience doesn't get anything out of it? Is there any wonder people come to clubs and see it, just Toastmasters clubs at a time again, they figure, okay, Toastmasters club, let's take a flip a coin and I get the same evaluation everywhere I go. What if you did something different? What if instead of ignoring your audience, you paid attention? You got their attention right from the very beginning. What would that be like? That's the power of getting their attention right from the beginning. Now, you're probably thinking, Tim, now wait a minute. This is an evaluation of Cynthia. There's got to be something for Cynthia, and only for Cynthia. I agree. And there is in Toastmasters. Something for Cynthia, only for Cynthia, and for no one else. That is the book. The book. We got a book. You may have heard of it. Barbara may have heard of it. You've heard of this book. CC book, it's sweeping the nation. We're top of the New York Times bestsellers one of these days. There's a few more Toastmasters we can make it happen. Dream people, dream big. A book. So I can fill out everything in the book, give you this evaluation, and you're better off. Because then you get things that are tailored exactly for that particular speech. Then you get things unique and special to you for that speech. So because you have the book, then I can give you that. And then the audience, focus on the audience for everything else. And that frees you from the book. Frees you from the Toastmasters trap. It opens you up because you open up, then you can start talking to the audience about anything you want. Whatever hits your mind from the very beginning. We'll get to that when we talk about R and O, of grow. But just getting their attention from the beginning is a transformational process. Now, you might be thinking, I don't know. I don't know if I want to do this. It's just weird. It's untested. Is it safe to actually talk to the audience? I get it. I get it. Makes sense. But if you get their attention right from the beginning and you make that connection, practice being a better speaker. Practice making that connection with that. So how do you do it? Great question, glad you asked. Starts out focusing on the audience first. Focusing the audience first. That makes sense? If you want to make it clear that something's for the audience, doesn't it make sense first you talk to the audience and connect with the audience and make that deep connection? Forget about Toastmasters for a while. We're talking about the real world. If you're in a situation where you want to influence persons, you go up and say, okay, not you, but you. And hopefully if you're listening in, great, fantastic. But if not, well, you're missing out. But I'm talking to you, but I'm trying to influence those people. I mean, if you're going to talk in front of everybody and it's not for them, why waste your time? Go off, have a beer. But get their attention. Simply means talk to the audience first. It's very simple. If you have a speech, let's say Cynthia does a speech and say ice cream. Just get their attention, get the audience's attention. So you might never have known there are so many different ways to eat ice cream. Cynthia, you certainly showed us a few new techniques. Get the audience's attention first, and then focus on Cynthia. And you set a pattern through the entire evaluation, where you focus on the audience first, and Cynthia becomes the example. If you do just that one thing, that change in your evaluation, you will have an evaluation that sets you head and shoulders, heels, everything above other evaluations. Because for the first times, perhaps first times ever in Toastmasters history, you'll be paying attention to your audience, not just yourself. I know for some of you it's going to be a hard breakup, but it's necessary. Focus on the audience and be aware of the audience. So remember, when you're going to grow your evaluation, in the step of grow your club, it's all about getting their attention. And once you've got the attention, then you can move on to the R and grow.
Thank you, Mr. Master. Tim, I think it's a very good topic. I give you credit for building up some thoughts. I'm assuming those are your own thoughts. Take the word grow, and then there's the G, and I think I saw somewhere you already signed for the letter R and this kind of thing. So that,
yeah, once you get the G, the others are kind of predestined.
That's really good. And then it was very good speech that the G's get the audience attention. It was very well laid speech. One thing that the topic is, it's a dry topic, but I think you did very good job bringing life to that topic. It could be the voice, the animation, the passion for the topic, because I have seen some other speeches where it's not as passionate as this one. So I think you did a good job attracting us to the topic. Now, one comment as far as you are asking us, me as an evaluator, I have a task of evaluating or doing certain things, which is go ahead, stand up there and evaluate that task, give feedback for that task. So I think more than 90% of this is how we are trained, and at least right now that's how I think it's appropriate. You have to focus on the task and improving that person's presentation, and in the meantime the audience is listening to, they heard the speech, they see me giving the evaluation, so they are benefiting from it. Now, I know you're advocating something, which I agree, in principle I agree, that you really need them to get involved. Cynthia, and everybody says, come on, tell me something different. I would suggest adding some more techniques into that thoughts. You have to tell us, I know you brought one technique, for example, say ice cream. Well, go ahead, general, say, oh, we benefited from ice cream. Or the mule story today, I think you're advocating, says, well, reiterate, saying that, oh, I learned something new. So the audience who was not listening, they are hearing it from you. But my suggestion is have more techniques. Say, technique number one, take the topic, say something different about it. Technique number two, maybe add more to the topic. Christina was talking today about the Las Vegas trip to the Grand Canyon. I forget to mention, I did go through that route. So maybe to pick up on your thought, maybe if I would have mentioned, oh, audience, by the way, I also went through that route and I know, so just give them something outside just Christina, Christina, Christina. So I know you can come up with more from hearing some of your other speeches, more technique one, at least 3-4 techniques.
There's 3 to go.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Maybe. Oh, so you want to just divide it into?
Yeah, this is one speech divided into
Okay,
5 parts.
So there are more techniques coming up.
Technique
Okay.
for R, for O, for W.
Yeah, excellent.
Because this is actually a very interesting concept. I never thought about evaluation is something that you actually need to make the whole club feels relevant. So I learned a lot from that. One thing I do want to mention, so I'm not sure what's your targeting audience in mind, or since it's part of a bigger speech, maybe you already covered the part I want to listen is that I think only for seasonal Toastmasters would know what evaluation is. So for a broader audience, maybe they're not sure what you're talking about, so they may get lost. You may actually plan to cover that in other part of the speech. That's possible. But as I'm sitting here, I think for a seasonal Toastmaster, understand what's going on. But for people who's maybe new to the Toastmaster or who's not even a member of Toastmaster, then maybe they get confused. What are you talking about? Evaluation? Is that my career review, end of the year? Yeah, so something more to sort of give some background about the topics.
Tim, you know I heard this speech before, right?
Yeah.
And you decide to emphasize grow the club with evaluation. I only heard one example of how we can grow the club, and that is focus on everybody in the club. As I told you before in the evaluation, I would have felt better if you had used that acronym like I mentioned. Give a good review. Give a good evaluation. Review what the speaker has said. Oh, open up some more ideas for the speaker to grow by. And widen that W, widen that person's horizon by giving all these good points. And yes, we should include everybody in the audience, but when I've done that in the past, it's been called I've been jumping around. So we have to be careful and make sure the evaluation is about Cynthia, so we should give Cynthia the evaluation. We can mention the similarities that what Cynthia talked about to other speakers in the past, but I think the emphasis should still be on Cynthia, and you're not ignoring the rest of the audience. You're just talking about Cynthia at this time.
Okay.
So keep on, you're going to get that speech just right soon.
I don't think I'll ever make you happy with it, but I'll get it. Definitely get it.
Okay.
I like the acronym, GROW, and I can't wait to hear the rest. And I think Barbara gave a little preview about that. And I like the animation, how you got us involved. And actually, thinking about it, this is something that applies to me because I certainly want to get everybody involved. So it's a very appropriate topic. But in your acronym, GROW, there's also a TMI. So too much information in a particular aspect with the exchange with Cynthia. I didn't know where we were going to. Pretty soon we're in a restaurant or somewhere else. That part could be condensed to Cynthia.
Yeah.
And maybe just that.
Tim, Cynthia was getting a little nervous when you were going with that story too. But I must comment something that Solomon said. You seem so much personal. Not that you're not personal, but there are times I've heard your speeches where there's, but I picked up a warmth in personality that was just, I felt perfect. You effectively used to tease. Surprised I picked it up, aren't you? I'm learning, I'm catching on here. When you kept saying the G, and I did write down, he's using the T. Because I found, well, it's the G, Tim. I like when you did the looking at the pose. I love that gesture. It was perfect. I like the idea about the CC book and the humor you built in on that one. Now, I do agree to an extent that you do want to include the audience, so I like the idea of maybe beginning that opening topic to get at least the audience engaged. I'm a little nervous about when you say Toastmaster trap, and that could be when you've been a Toastmaster as long as I have, just certain things, you almost think of Toastmaster as your bedrock, and so you get a little defensive sometimes when you hear the neck. So I would maybe try to choose a different word or try to avoid it. Maybe something like out the box a little bit. I don't know if I want to say Toastmaster trap, because that could put some folks on the defense. That's the, right now, at least in this part of the speech, I would kind of change up. And I know you're going to talk about more techniques as you go along, so I just wanted to comment on that. But I know this is part of a bigger speech.
Fellow Toastmasters and Tim, I hope you'll join me in giving some feedback to Tim about his speech. One of the things that I liked was the statement, evaluation completes your speech. Was that something that also resonated with you?
Yes.
I really thought that was very useful, and I thought that that was really an excellent point. People who get up here give a speech in the hopes of getting feedback, and Tim I think is absolutely correct that evaluation completes your speech. I think that's a great idea. Cynthia also talked about the T's, you know, the use of the T's. Normally, not that big of a fan of the long T's, but in this case, I actually think that I would have liked the T's to be a little longer. Some of the things he teased us with were the Toastmasters trap, which I already kind of knew what that was, and Cynthia doesn't like that particular word or phrase. I'm not sure if I like that phrase. I already knew what it was, so I knew what was coming, and it was not as much of a mystery to me as it may have been to others of you. I liked the fact that he said that using his secret technique would make you a better speaker. How many of you also were intrigued by that? Okay, so he is getting to us. One thing that I would suggest is before he told us what the G was, and he did really tease it, I actually liked when he was talking to Cynthia and saying, how does it make you feel when you see two people involved so much and you're sort of on the side? That whole tete-a-tete thing. I think that had he done that before he got into what the G was, that might have been even more of a tease where I have to know what it is, because you're right, it does make me feel a little awkward. So I would have liked that. One suggestion I have is your G was get their attention. Did that get your attention? I don't think that's the kind of attention you want to get. So I would suggest go to the audience, be the thing. Ask the audience questions, get the audience involved, let them know that they care about what you were about to say, just to Cynthia, or in this case, I'm going to switch to Rocky so that he doesn't feel left out of this particular conversation. You started out by saying one of the ways to get their attention, and I do really think fainting is a good way, is to say something like, did you ever have any idea before Rocky's speech that there were so many flavors of ice cream? Or you said you might never have known. I would suggest you change it into a more direct question to the audience. Did you ever have any idea? Did you know that there were ways of getting the audience's attention and getting them to participate in the speech? I think that's one thing that Tim really taught us. One question that I have for you and for Tim to consider is, does the speaker feel disappointed when the attention is not all on him? Because they got up, they gave you all of their time and attention to present this information to you, particularly given the 72 years of historical evaluations. Usually the attention is entirely on the speaker. So Rocky, would you feel disappointed if I'm talking to everyone else and not so much to you? Some things to consider. Thank you, Tim. As you can see, I have tried to incorporate some of your suggestions
Thank you.
into my evaluation.
I appreciate that.